So I thought I'd start filming a video for this generator because I think it might help people. My neighbors are moving and we've known them over 10 years and they have had this generator. It's a Honda ES6500. It was sitting on the side of their house. Hasn't been ran in about 20 years. From what I understand, these were produced in the late 80s to early 90s, like 88 or so to 1993. It's liquid cooled, which is pretty cool. It's a twin cylinder Honda engine and it has a timing belt. So they just gave it to me for free, and I'm gonna be going through it and seeing if I can get this thing running again. There's no idea on hours. There's no pull start, it's only electric start. And unfortunately, he left fuel in it. And this tank is just absolute garbage. It's just all kinds of varnished fuel in there. It's disgusting, it smells horrible. So my first step is to figure out how to take this top brace off of the frame. And it looks like I got to get that off to get the tank off, and then I'll put some lacquer thinner in there and let it soak and see how clean I can get it. It's a really small tank for how big of a generator it is, so it probably doesn't have that long of a runtime. But it's got every plug you need, and 6,500 surge and then 6,000 running. Not a lot of videos on YouTube, that's for sure. So that's another reason why I'm filming it. And for those of you guys that buy the hood scoops from me and know that I paint those, I got into painting on redoing generators. So I would buy them and the tanks would look all sun damaged, and I would paint them with Rust-Oleum reduced with acetone and then clear coat them. And same for air compressors. I've done Craftsman, repainted those. They came out looking awesome. Bought new decals on eBay for them, and I redid a 20-year-old Craftsman 33 gallon, I believe it was, 6 horsepower, and it came out amazing. So anyway, hopefully this video has some useful knowledge if any of you come across one of these older Honda ES6500 generators. Okay, so maybe 6-7 bolts out, and that top frame came off and gives you access to everything. Looks like you got just 4 bolts holding on this tank. So I'm gonna disconnect the fuel cock here, fuel shut off. These lines are hard as a rock. And then get the tank off and deal with that. All right, at this point, got the gas tank off. Boy, that thing is tiny for this size generator. And it is all clogged up with nastiness. So the next step is I'm going to take off this front cover and take a look at the timing belt to see if it's cracked, because it's going to be more age than hours with that timing belt, and they're about 30-40 bucks to buy a new one on eBay from what I saw. So I'll probably replace that timing belt before I even try to turn this thing over. I do have an ultrasonic cleaner, so I'm really hoping that I can get this carb off. I know it's going to have all kinds of varnished fuel stuck in it, so it might be screwed, but the ultrasonic cleaner does a pretty good job, so maybe I'll be able to get it cleaned out. The coolant looks horrendous, so I got to drain the coolant out, and I think I'll put water back in just while I'm testing things, and then eventually when it's all running, I'll put 50/50 antifreeze in it. Seems pretty easy to work on though once you get that top part off and the tank off. There's a lot of room for everything. It's been a few days since I've worked on this generator here, the ES6500, and I think, well, I don't think, I'm hoping that the carburetor isn't what totally trashes this entire generator, because they do not make this carburetor anymore. It's crazy that there aren't knockoffs. I've ordered 3 on Amazon that look similar, and I'm gonna try them, see if I can get one of them to work. If I can, then I'll put the link to which one worked in the description of this video. Then I was also thinking, before I go through all the trouble of that, I should see if this thing even has compression. So I did compression on it and the one cylinder is at about 190 and the other one was at about 170. So it's got great compression. None of the valves are sticking. Took the valve cover off to check that. They look good. The starter did burn out. I tried to use it and it went about 2 revolutions and then stopped, and now the solenoid's just clicking. I did hook up a battery, bypass the solenoid direct to the starter, and nothing's happening. That starter I did find on Amazon, an aftermarket one, for about 90 bucks. But I don't want to buy that and deal with replacing it until I know this thing will fire up and run. So to get the compression test, I've been using my drill to spin it over, and I think I'll do that to get it cranked to see if I can get it to run. Then if I can, then I'll go to replacing the starter. The belt looks good. From what research I did, it's not an interference engine, so if the belt breaks, it's not going to trash the engine. So I'm going to leave that because you got to get the flywheel off to change the timing belt out, and I'm not going to go through all that. Trying to think of what else is on here. Just the original carb, I did put it in my ultrasonic cleaner, so it did clean it up a little bit, but the jet's stuck. The main jet is stuck and completely corroded in there. The top pilot one snapped off when I was trying to get that on the plastic piece. So this thing is just trashed. I mean, I'm sure the small passageways are just completely clogged. And it's from leaving fuel in there. So, you know, with these generators, always shut the fuel shutoff off and let it run out of gas. And then that way you don't have it sitting in the carburetor. The tank, if you leave it in there, it's eventually going to get varnished and corrode the tank, but at least you keep it out of the carburetor, and then, you know, it would actually run. So a big issue is going to be the carburetor on here. So next video hopefully is a good one, and I found something that works. Okay, I've got 3 of the carbs I ordered. Take a look at them. Here is the original. So if we compare it to this one, it might be hard to tell, but the opening is much larger. It's under 1 inch on this one. It's over 1 inch or at 1 inch on this one. This one has some promise right here. Let's see, let's flip the other way. Very similar. This one, the hole is plugged. This one, it's open. I'm gonna squirt some liquid in there and see if it goes anywhere, if it just puddles in there. If it goes somewhere, then this one won't work, obviously. So similar in design though. It seems like they're based off each other. Very similar. Here, it's an actual Honda one. I'm gonna have to return it. So at first when I was looking at it, I thought, oh man, that looks good. But then I realized the mounting holes are way farther apart. So this one won't even slide on. So that's gonna have to get returned. That one was like $38. I think this one was like $15. Comes with gaskets, filters. I think I'm gonna give this one a try, see what happens. Okay, so I did fill this up, some brake cleaner, and it does drain and go somewhere. I also blew through it with compressed air. So this one doesn't have that, but maybe this carb's designed to not run with that. They look very similar, but they're the same. I think this carb is set up for some kind of auto choke, but I'm gonna have to just make it work. See what happens. Okay, got the carb on. These lines hooked up fine. Still gonna have to MacGyver something for that, but I think first what I'm gonna do, spray some starting fluid in there and just see if I can get this thing to fire over before I deal with getting fuel and filling up the carb. good news is this carburetor seems to be the one. So this should really help out a lot of people. It's running at 60 Hertz. So that means the RPMs are set right. I'll hook up a 1500 watt heat gun and draw some power on it and see what it does now. It held good when I turned on the 1500 watt gun. The Hertz barely moved. You really didn't hear much of a lug or anything on it, so looks really good. I guess now I got to buy the new starter since the starter burned out, and then I got to figure out the fuel tank. Hey, we're back. It's been a few days, had some parts come in. One of them is the new air filter. Here's the one that was on there. There's the part number, and I'm gonna put a picture of this in the video so you can see the part numbers on Amazon that I ordered. But this replacement fits perfect, so that's good. The starter, part number, again, in the picture you'll see the part number. The third part I ordered that you'll see in the picture is the oil filter, and it was too small. The diameter was a lot smaller than the one that's on there. So I have another one coming, and we'll see if it fits. I'm wondering if the one that's on there might be too big. I'm not sure. I'm wondering, when I get it off, I'm gonna clean it up and see if I can get a number off of it. So I think the next step is to get this starter replaced. I'm gonna drain out all the coolant or the water that's in there I put in. I'm gonna drain out all the oil, get that oil filter off, and then flip this thing over on its side with no fluids to hopefully have better access to get that starter off, because there's a ton of stuff in the way. So I'm really not sure how this is gonna come out. That's where we are right now. And here's the update on the fuel tank. Tons of corrosion. I scraped a little bit with a screwdriver, so that stuff does come up. So from the research I've got on YouTube, it seems like white vinegar is the best way to do this, or denatured alcohol, or MEK. But I'm gonna start with the vinegar because it's cheap. I'm gonna fill it all the way up with a gallon, then fill it the rest of the way with water, and then put the cap on so I can get the top of the tank too and let it sit for 2 days or so. And supposedly it'll break down all that varnish. And then on my vacuum, I taped a flexible hose so I can get down in corners to suck out all the gunk and stuff once it's removed. So we'll see how that comes out. New tank's $300 on a US website, but I did find it for $99 coming from Japan. But I don't know, that seems sketchy. I'm not sure if that's legit or not. So I'm gonna try to clean up this one, and then I'll end up repainting it as well. Make this thing look new again. Got this thing flipped over and looking at the starter, which I've been through this before on a Duramax. You gotta remove the flywheel. Huge pain in the butt. So not looking forward to this, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Take off the flywheel, see if we can get this starter replaced. I hope this thing's worth it. Okay, so got off the flywheel. You take that off, and then you take the main nut off, turn it around, put a little pry bar behind the flywheel, and then hit it with a hammer, and it'll usually knock it loose. Plenty of videos on YouTube to show you how to do that, so I didn't film that. Now at this point, I can get to the 2 starter mounting bolts and start working on getting that off. I thought this was the wrong filter because look at the difference in size. But then when I looked at the engine, the mounting surface was a lot smaller in diameter than this. So this thing, you can see the edge, the only half at most of this rubber gasket seal right here was hitting the engine flange where this mounts. So this is the wrong oil filter. It's too big. I mean, I guess as long as it's sealed, bigger is better. But this is the correct one. And there is the model number for it. So that's what you want to look for. That code right there, that product number, that fits perfect on this engine. Okay, got the new starter in. Kind of a pain in the butt because of this bracket here, but you are able to get it out. You got to take off this motor mount right here and get that out of the way, and then you'd be able to work it out and work the new starter in. I had this white wire pull out of where the starter or the positive battery line goes right here, so I just added a little extension back to it. I don't know what that's for, but I want to make sure it went back. So now we'll get this back together, and hopefully she turns over. Do a little test before I put the flywheel back on. Got the jumper box hooked up. Alright, hopefully that starter lasts a while. Okay, a couple days later, back at working on this generator. Got some distilled white vinegar from Costco that is sitting in the fuel tank outside for a couple days now. Took the starter apart, the old starter, to see what it looked like, and the only thing I can tell is that one of these brushes was stuck back. So like I said, it turned over and then stopped, and it seems like, see how this brush springs back no problem? So that way it comes in contact constantly on here. This one doesn't come out as far, it just gets stuck. So I put some corrosion X on. I really think that's the only issue with it. So I'm not gonna throw the starter out, because if I can get that to start springing back, it should work as a backup. Picked this up for $5 at AutoZone to put in the radiator and flush it out. I've got this in there and then filled the rest with water, and I'm gonna let this thing run for a couple hours. Got the intake hooked back up so it's filtering the air. And I made a contraption over here to hold the fuel, so it's not just that little syringe, it's got that hooked to it, so it'll run a little longer. And I think I'm gonna let it run a couple hours, you know, and then I'm gonna drain everything out, the oil and the radiator fluid, and then I'm gonna flip it over, use gunk degreaser, and pressure wash the whole thing before I put it back together. Because I can't tell if it's oil leaks from a gasket or just oil coming from when there was oil changes, or what the story is, but there's oil stains on the bottom of the engine. All right, that's it for now. Back at the generator here. When I first tried to start this generator weeks ago, the oil light came on, and I know that the low oil sensors can be finicky and cause that to happen, so then it wouldn't let it start. But this one is actually a pressure lubricated system. It's got an oil filter on it, and there's the, let's see if I can get the camera in here. There is the oil sensor right here, pressure switch. So I just disconnected it, and then that allowed me to run it while I've been running it. But then I came across something on these generators that some of them had recalls where there was an aluminum impeller for the oil pump, and it would start slipping around the shaft and cause low oil pressure. There's a certain serial number range, but there's also a serial number on the frame and then a serial number on the engine. The serial number on the engine shows that it's outside that range. It's a newer one, so it has the updated impeller. But I figured, you know what, I might as well get an oil pressure gauge and hook it up so I know it's got oil pressure and this thing doesn't grenade itself. So took the pressure switch out, hooked this up, and it had 60 psi of pressure when it was running, so that is perfect. So now I know it's just the pressure switch. It's about 40 bucks on eBay. I'll probably get one just in case I sell this. You know, it's got a working oil pressure switch, and it'll shut it down if there's low oil pressure. So that's where we're at. I think the next thing is the fuel tank's all cleaned out with the vinegar. It looks great. I'll be showing a video of that. And then I think I'm gonna begin painting this thing, the fuel tank, the top of it, the black grates. And then she'll be about ready to go, I think. Gonna start painting things on this generator. Here's the inside of the tank after using the vinegar. I don't know how good that's gonna be able to see it, but boy, it really just took off a ton of the varnish. See, there's still corrosion in there, but that thick layer, the vinegar worked really, really well. Then I stuck a pressure washer in there and just sprayed and then used my outdoor vac to suck everything out. So I sanded down the rusty spots to get to the rust and then put some OSPO on there to convert the rust, so now it's paintable. And then my plan is, I'm not gonna do anything crazy. I might put primer on that, maybe, but probably not. I'm just probably gonna just shoot it and it'll look better than what it did. Okay, set up here for the paint job using Rust-Oleum Sunrise, Gloss Sunrise Red. And it's 50-50 with acetone. That's kind of the consistency you want to get right there. So it'll spray good through the gun. Again, 50-50. 250 milliliters of the paint, 250 milliliters of acetone. And then I'm going to add this hardener from Traffic Supply. I mean, I just pour it in, I don't measure it. And it gives it a gloss and also hardens it, so you don't have to clear coat it if you don't want to. But I'll probably clear coat this fuel tank just because gas will probably get spilt on it, and if you clear coat it, it'll keep from tearing up the finish. So rigged up a jig here to hold these and about to start painting them. It's over 100-degree heat index today in Florida. It was like 110 yesterday. It's got to be the same today. But I was able to knock out painting a bunch of the trim pieces. Grills that cover the radiator. That's all with spray can Rust-Oleum. Here's the cover over the timing belt and the flywheel. That's with Rust-Oleum spray can. This is sprayed out of the HVLP gun. Again, Sunrise Red Gloss Rust-Oleum mixed 50-50 with acetone. Came out real nice, and I'm just gonna clear coat over the label decal so it'll seal it all in and it'll never fade and never come off. Here's the tank. Came out good. Some imperfections because I didn't do any kind of fill-in primer or anything. Just basically wanted to get it recoated, and then I'm going to clear coat that. And then here's the cover. Same thing, clear coat over the decals. There's the top frame. That was done with the spray can Rust-Oleum. Coming together. Here is the AVR voltage regulator. I just want to take a video so I know what it looks like if I ever have to buy another one without taking it apart, and if anybody else needs to know. This is all original right here. Okay, so today working on one of the axles. Got a 5/8 inch steel bar. Measured everything out, welded a washer on to hold the wheels. Harbor Freight, $8.99, 10-inch pneumatic. Yep, perfect. So this thing will roll a lot better now with this, and then I'm gonna put one on the front, and then I can get rid of that caster wheel up front that was added on. And this thing should be ready to off-road. Well, some are better than others. pretty sweet. The thing rolls real nice. This would be a good work site generator. Rolling it over rough terrain. Perfect. All right, I've got the part scuffed up. About to put down 2K clear coat on it. Sealed up real nice so the gas doesn't take the Rust-Oleum paint off. Here we go. Okay, so I do one real light tack coat and it makes it almost like glue for a heavy second coat, and that's how I do the hood scoops as well. It seems to work out great rather than doing 3 coats or 3 light coats, just a tack coat and then a heavy second coat. Upon taking a closer look, I think I am going to have to replace this timing belt. So you can see right here, it's starting to crack. So I think this is definitely more due to age than hours. Right there, starting to separate. So I got to take the flywheel off again. I should have just done this before, but I didn't even notice the cracks in the belt. So I could have been cheap and paid 20 bucks for an off-brand, but I went ahead and ordered Honda. Here's the part number for it. So it's authentic Honda timing belt. It shouldn't need to be changed for a long, long time. Here's the oil pressure switch. Again, I went with Honda. And there's the part number for it. And I'll have all this in the description as well. So next step is we take off the stator here, and then we take off the flywheel like I did before. And then I'll show how to do this timing belt. Okay, flywheel's off. We're gonna take this off and then this thing off, and then we'll have access to the belt. We're gonna mark this belt and then mark the new belt. Make sure everything goes back the way it is, even though there are alignment marks. But I've done this on a Honda car before, and I like marking the belt and just going back exactly where it was. Okay, flywheel's off. This cover's off easy. Here's your timing mark on the crankshaft, and then above it is your timing mark on the case. You want these two to line up, and then up here you've got another arrow on the case, and it's gonna line up with this T right here for time. So I've got it lined up, but I'm still gonna mark these. On the water pump, there's no tensioner on this. This slides. You undo these 2 bolts, and this water pump slides over, and that lets you get the belt off. I'm gonna try to do it without taking this off. And then when you get the tension, you just push it back and then tighten those 2 bolts up. Okay, correction on this. It's not just these 2 bolts. You got 1, 2, 3, and then 1 back here that you got to get to from the side. That's a 10 millimeter. Once you do that, I tapped it over, and now there's slack on the belt. So let's see if we can get it off. Okay, new belt's on. My marks are lined up. Nothing moved from the timing marks. So I'm good. And now I just got to figure out how to keep tension on this. I think I'm going to get a crowbar and push against it while I tighten it up to get the tension. I keep forgetting to show things I put in this ultrasonic cleaner. This is one from Harbor Freight I got off Marketplace for like 80 bucks used, and it works amazing. So I want to show this thing. This is the air cleaner cover before I put it in. That's what it should look like. Here's the outside. This is some purple power and a gallon of hot water, and it fits halfway, so I guess we'll see it get cleaned halfway and then I'll have to run it again. And you can also do temperature on here, so it'll heat it up. Here we go. And we'll go for 30 minutes. All right, here we go. If it doesn't look clean, I'm just gonna edit this out of the video. Oh yeah, you can see a pretty good difference from the clean side to the other. So now I'll run it on the other side. These things are great for cleaning anything. Jewelry, good excuse for your wife that you need to get one. Highly recommend them. Well, we're at the end of the video. Everything's been assembled. All the painted items. Came out looking brand new. New battery, coolant, oil. Got the gas gauge working. I don't have much fuel in there right now.